Hey guys, what's up? Roman here from Tech Guides, and in this video I want to give you guys my long-term review of the Huawei Matebook X Pro. So I've been using this specific model, which is actually the 2018 model of the Huawei Matebook X Pro, for exactly 1 year now, so I think I can give you a good impression of what I actually like and what I absolutely hate about this laptop. Now, really the fact that this is only the 2018 model instead of the new 2020 model doesn't really matter too much in this situation, because really the only difference between this and the new 2020 model are, first of all, there's a different logo, that the 2020 model has the MX250 graphics card, while this only has the MX150 graphics card. And finally, the 2020 model, which should be shipping very soon, has one of the new i7-10510U CPUs. So to start off with, let's quickly go through the specs of the Huawei Matebook X Pro. Now, this is an extremely lightweight and small laptop. It only weighs 1.3 kilograms, is only 1.4 centimeters thick, and since this laptop has an absolutely fantastic 91% screen to body ratio, the chassis is basically exactly 14 inches or 30 × 21 centimeters. Now the specs are, as I've previously mentioned, a MX150 graphics cards. This has 2 GB of VRAM, an i7-8550U CPU, which is a 4-core CPU that can boost up to 4 GHz. Also, it has 16 GB of DDR3 memory. Now the screen is, as I've mentioned before, one of the centerpieces of this laptop. It's both one of the really great features of this laptop and also one of the maybe not so great features. So first and foremost, the Huawei Matebook X Pro sports a 3:2 aspect ratio. So that means you'll get much more screen real estate, especially in the vertical direction. Now this is actually a much bigger deal than what it sounds like initially, because the increase in the vertical space of this screen makes it just so much easier to scroll through web pages. So when compared to a laptop that only has a 16:9 aspect ratio, you can see that there is just much more visible on screen on the 3:2 aspect ratio. Also, the screen has a maximum brightness of an incredible 450 nits. That's 150 nits more than the Lenovo Yoga, and it really shows. Now, one of the reasons why Huawei was able to make this screen so extremely appealing and almost bezel-less is the fact that they repositioned the webcam into the keyboard. Now, for some of you, this might actually be a drawback of this laptop, that the camera is basically pointing upwards and is pointing right into your nostrils. So if you want to use your webcam very often, then this might not be your model. However, on the other hand, the fact that the webcam is hidden inside of the keyboard makes it extremely good in terms of not being able to be spied on by nasty people. Also, not everything is great when it comes to the screen of this laptop. Now, this is a touchscreen laptop, which in of itself isn't bad. However, this obviously also comes with these extremely glossy screens. And if I turn this a bit, unfortunately, you can see my key light very well in this screen. It's almost like a mirror. So using this laptop in direct sunshine is basically impossible. Also, the hinge of the Huawei Matebook X Pro only allows you to go to about 130 degrees, which actually is, in my opinion, not enough. For example, if you're sitting on your sofa and you kind of want to lounge with the laptop in your lap. Now, one part where this laptop absolutely shines is its keyboard. It's extremely tactile, really clacky, and it just makes a lot of fun while typing on this keyboard. This is actually vastly different from the MacBook Pro, which this design was obviously hugely borrowed from. It's basically down to the rubber feet, almost the same design. So the keyboard is absolutely fantastic, and the trackpad, from my opinion, is also pretty great. Obviously, it doesn't quite compare to the MacBook's trackpad, which is, I guess, fantastic, but this is also pretty good. Another area where Huawei still has a leg up on its competition is the fact that this slim laptop is still able to accommodate a standard USB Type-A port. This is extremely convenient if you want to plug in your keyboard and/or mouse into your laptop. Continuing with I/O, on the left-hand side we have 2 USB Type-C ports, one of which is actually a Thunderbolt 3 port. And finally, there's also a 3.5mm jack port for your headset. Now, while we're on the outside of this laptop, the Huawei Matebook X Pro has an aluminum chassis which is extremely sturdy, Believe me, this thing has fallen down from this exact table twice, and it doesn't have a single scratch on its chassis. Forget that with any of the other magnesium-based laptop chassis. Also, there is absolutely no screen or keyboard flags whatsoever. This thing is basically a tank when it comes to its construction. However, the aluminum chassis also brings one disadvantage, and that is whenever you plug this laptop into the wall, you get this kind of tingling sensation when touching the chassis. So basically the laptop is not very well grounded, and I feel like some of the electricity is actually flowing through your body into the ground. Obviously this is not a health hazard whatsoever, but it's basically just a bit weird when you plug it in to feel kind of this tingly feeling, especially if you kind of stroke over the chassis with your finger. In terms of portability, this is probably the smallest and most lightweight package that you can get so much performance in. As previously mentioned, this laptop only weighs 1,300 grams, and what also helps is that the power brick that is delivered with this laptop is also very small and very lightweight. It only weighs another 165 grams, which brings the total weight of this laptop with its power brick to under 1.5 kilos. Also, with this being a USB Type-C power brick, you can obviously also charge your smartphone with this power brick, so you only ever have to bring one power adapter for both your laptop and your smartphone. Another aspect where the Huawei Matebook X Pro definitely has a leg up on its competition is in terms of the accessories that are delivered in the box. So the Matebook X Pro comes with a free display adapter that has an HDMI port, a VGA port, another USB Type-A port, and finally another USB Type-C port. Now such an adapter would probably cost you another $100 if you bought your laptop from another brand. I'm looking at you, Apple. The speakers are definitely yet another great feature of the Huawei Matebook X Pro. They are definitely not very bassy, but you can't really expect that from a form factor like a laptop, but they are super crisp and extremely loud. So listening to YouTube videos with a bunch of your friends is definitely no problem with the Huawei Matebook X Pro. Now, while those are all great features, none of these things is really innovative. One thing that is, however, extremely innovative is that this laptop was the first that actually implemented the fingerprint reader in the power button. This is, in my opinion, one of the best features of this laptop. You press on the power button and you're immediately locked in. Now let's also talk about the battery that is provided with the Huawei Matebook X Pro. Now this is a 57 watt-hour battery, which should, as advertised, get you up to 12 hours of use time. Now even right after I got this laptop, I really wasn't able to get such long usage out of this machine. I would usually get around 6 to maybe 8, maybe 10 hours of use time on this laptop. On the other hand, as a power user, you're gonna have to expect much lower usage times coming out of this machine. I recently performed a battery test on this machine, running YouTube, Photoshop, as well as some gaming to test how long this machine would last under extreme circumstances. Note that I ran this test at 80% brightness, which is about 100% on any competing device. And I also used the performance mode, so if you were to use the battery saver mode, then obviously you could push out the usage time much longer than what I show in this test. So after 1 hour of watching YouTube videos and updating a game in the background, I have drained the Huawei Matebook X Pro's battery by 15%. This in of itself doesn't look too bad, however after watching only 1 more hour of YouTube, the battery has already drained to 51%. At this point I started COD Warzone and simply run the lobby to simulate a light 3D application load. After only 30 minutes, this brought the battery down to 23%. Next I run a Photoshop benchmark to simulate a Photoshop load. After exactly 3 hours I got the battery is low notification and the laptop would switch into power saving mode. The Photoshop benchmark finally finished after 40 minutes, at which point the battery has drained to 7%. Finally, after another 20 minutes of watching YouTube videos, the battery finally gave in and the laptop powered off. So power users may expect maybe 3.5 to 4 hours of playtime on this laptop. This in of itself is actually not too bad, it's not an extremely long usage time, but for such a small form factor, it's definitely good enough. Something that is actually really cool when it comes to the power management of this laptop is that with the PC manager that ships with all Huawei laptops, you can actually limit your battery between 40 and 70%. This will greatly improve the lifetime of your MateBook Pro. And finally, let's talk about the fan noise of the Huawei Matebook X Pro. Now, under normal circumstances, you really won't be hearing the fans of this laptop. On the other hand, if you start 3D applications, such as games, then the fans will actually ramp up and it will actually be quite noticeable. However, me personally, that doesn't really bother, because when you're using 3D applications, you generally also use headphones anyways, so you won't hear the fan noise of the laptop. And with that, let's talk about my conclusions regarding the Huawei Matebook X Pro. Now let's keep this short and simple. This has to be the most lightweight, most performant and most portable laptop that I've ever used. It's also extremely satisfying to type on, and the screen is absolutely brilliant. Also, the fact that this has an NVIDIA MX 150 graphics card makes using applications like Photoshop or Illustrator so much smoother compared to a laptop that does not have a dedicated graphics card. Now, while this graphics card allows you to play lightweight games such as Valorant at maybe 80 to 100 FPS, you really shouldn't expect playable performance in more heavy games such as Call of Duty Warzone, where I'm getting about 30 FPS. Note, however, that the MX 150 does not have the NVENC chip included, and therefore it's not as easy to record the screen on the Huawei Matebook X Pro. And finally, the 2019 version of the Huawei Matebook X Pro sells for only $1,300 here in Switzerland. This is absolutely dirt cheap when compared to competitors like the MacBook Pro, which goes for more $2,500, maybe $3,000 for a similarly spec'd laptop. This is completely bonkers when you consider that the Matebook X Pro has the much better keyboard and, in my opinion, the better aspect ratio when it comes to the screen. On the other hand, I really don't think that getting the 2020 version of the Huawei Matebook X Pro is worth it over the old 2019 model. Heck, even the 2018 model holds up just fine in today's standards. Now, really the only improvements of the 2020 version over the 2019 version of the Huawei Matebook X Pro is a marginally better CPU and a larger NVMe SSD. On the other hand, I would highly recommend you to go for the newer 2019 model over this one, which is the 2018 model, because it has the better GPU, a better CPU, and it basically costs the same. And that about wraps up my long-term review on the Huawei Matebook X Pro. If you have any questions about this device, then don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section down below. Now, on this channel, I don't regularly upload review videos, so definitely also tell me what you think was good and maybe what was bad about this video. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.